People often think that important stories begin with big events, but this story didn't begin like that. It began on a very normal morning. I woke up before my alarm rang. That doesn't happen often. The room was quiet, and the light coming through the window was soft and pale. For a moment, I stayed still and listened. No phone notifications, no voices, just the sound of the fan and my own breathing. I checked the time. It was earlier than usual. I could have gone back to sleep, but I didn't. Instead, I sat up slowly and stretched. Nothing felt different, yet something felt calm. Maybe it was just one of those mornings. I made my bed, not perfectly, but neatly enough. Then I walked to the kitchen. The floor felt cold under my feet. I turned on the light and stood there for a second, thinking about nothing in particular. I boiled water and made a cup of tea. While waiting, I looked out the window. People were already moving outside. A man was walking his dog. A woman stood at the bus stop, looking at her phone. Cars passed by, one after another. Everyone seemed to be going somewhere important. I took my tea and sat at the small table. I didn't scroll through my phone right away. I just sat and drank slowly. The tea was warm, and it made me feel awake. There was nothing special planned for the day. No big meeting, no celebration, just work, small tasks, and the usual routine. A normal day. After breakfast, I got ready. I chose simple clothes. Nothing new, nothing stylish. As I looked in the mirror, I noticed my face looked tired, but familiar. It was the same face I see every day. Before leaving, I picked up my bag and checked if I had everything. Keys, wallet, phone, everything was there. When I stepped outside, the air was cool. The sky was clear but not bright yet. I locked the door and started walking. My steps were slow. I wasn't in a hurry. As I walked, I thought about how many days begin like this. Quiet, ordinary, easy to forget. We live so many normal days that we stop noticing them. At that moment, I didn't know this day would stay with me. I didn't know I would remember it later. To me, it was just a normal day. And that was how it began. The street looked the same as always, but I noticed it more that day. Maybe because I had time. Maybe because my mind was quiet. I walked past the small shop on the corner. The owner was opening the shutters, moving slowly, like he had done it 1,000 times before. We didn't speak, but we nodded at each other. It was a simple greeting, the kind that doesn't need words. At the bus stop, a few people were already waiting. No one was talking. Everyone was busy with their own thoughts or their phones. I stood a little apart and waited. When the bus arrived, it was almost full. I found a seat near the window. As the bus started moving, I watched the road, the buildings, and the people passing by. Some looked tired. Some looked bored. Some looked like they were thinking about something important. I wondered where everyone was going and what kind of day they were expecting. A good one? A difficult one? Or just another normal day like mine? The bus stopped many times. People got on. People got off. A young man stood near me, holding the rail tightly. An older woman sat across from me, holding a small bag on her lap. She looked calm, like she had nowhere to rush. At one stop, a child got on with his mother. He was talking loudly, asking questions about everything he saw. The mother smiled and answered patiently. I smiled too, without meaning to. Sometimes small moments like that make the day feel lighter. As the bus moved forward, I checked my phone. No new messages, no missed calls. I put it back in my bag. I didn't feel disappointed. I felt relieved. I realized how often we wait for something to happen. A message, a call, some kind of news. That morning, there was nothing waiting for me. And that was okay. When it was time to get off, I stood up and walked toward the door. The bus stopped, and I stepped outside. The noise of the street felt louder than before. Cars, voices, footsteps, all mixing together. I walked the rest of the way. The building where I worked came into view. It looked ordinary, like every other day. Nothing about it suggested that this day would matter. Before going inside, I stopped for a moment. I took a deep breath. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I just needed a pause. I thought again, it's just a normal day. But sometimes, normal days carry quiet moments we don't understand until later. I pushed the door open and went inside. Inside the building, everything felt familiar. The sound of footsteps, the soft noise of people talking, the smell of coffee somewhere in the background. I walked to my desk and put my bag down. A few people were already there. Some said hello. Some just nodded. I replied the same way. Nothing more than usual. I turned on my computer and waited for it to start. While it loaded, I looked around. Everyone was busy with their own work. Fingers moving on keyboards, papers being organized, screens glowing quietly. I checked my tasks for the day. There were a few things to finish, nothing urgent. I started with the easiest one. It felt good to begin slowly. Time passed without me noticing. I focused on small details, one step at a time. Sometimes I stopped and looked at the screen without thinking. Sometimes I worked quickly. It was a normal rhythm. Around mid-morning, I stood up to get some water. In the hallway, I met a colleague. We talked for a minute about work, about nothing important. The conversation ended naturally. We both went back to what we were doing. Back at my desk, I noticed the light coming through the window. It fell across the floor and moved slowly as time passed. I had seen that many times before, but that day I noticed it. I wondered how many days I had sat in the same place, doing similar things, thinking similar thoughts. Life often moves like that, quietly, without asking for attention. Before lunch, there was a short meeting. We sat in a small room and talked about plans and deadlines. Everyone listened. Everyone spoke when it was their turn. No surprises. When the meeting ended, I felt a little tired. Not because it was difficult, but because it was familiar. Repetition can be comforting, but it can also make you think. At lunch, I ate alone. I didn't mind. I took my food and sat near the window. Outside, people walked past quickly. Inside, time felt slower. I didn't look at my phone much. I just ate and thought. About work. About nothing. About how days pass whether we notice them or not. After lunch, I went back to my desk. The afternoon felt quieter. Some people left their chairs. Some spoke softly. The office felt calm. As I worked, a small thought stayed with me. If this day is so normal, why does it feel like I will remember it? I couldn't explain it. I didn't try to. I just kept working. Sometimes we don't understand moments while we are living them. The afternoon slowly came to an end. One by one, people began to pack their things. Chairs moved. Computers were shut down. Soft goodbyes filled the room. I saved my work, turned off the screen, and stood up. My body felt tired, but not heavy. It was the kind of tired feeling that comes from doing familiar things all day. Outside, the sky had changed. The light was warmer now, softer. The day was slowly letting go. I walked toward the bus stop again. The street felt busier than in the morning. People were talking louder, cars moved faster. Everyone seemed ready to go home. While waiting, I thought about what I would do in the evening. Nothing special. Maybe dinner, maybe a little rest. Maybe just sitting quietly. The bus arrived, and I got on. This time, I stood near the door. As the bus moved, I held the rail and looked around. Faces looked different in the evening, more tired, more relaxed, more honest. At one stop, a man got on carrying flowers. They were wrapped in simple paper. I wondered who they were for. A partner? A parent? Or maybe just for himself. At another stop, someone laughed loudly while talking on the phone. The sound filled the bus for a moment, then faded. Life moves on like that, sounds coming and going. When I got off, the sky was already turning dark. Streetlights were on. Shops were closing. The day was almost over. I walked slowly. I wasn't thinking about work anymore. My mind felt lighter. At home, I put my bag down and took off my shoes. The room felt quiet and safe. I turned on a small light and sat down for a moment. I didn't turn on the television. I didn't check my phone. I just sat there, listening to the silence. Later, I made dinner. It was simple, nothing new. As I ate, I thought about the day, morning, work, evening. Everything had gone as expected. And yet, something stayed with me. A feeling I couldn't name. After dinner, I washed the dishes and cleaned a little. The routine felt calming. Each small action had its place. Before going to bed, I stood near the window. Outside, the street was quiet now. Only a few lights were still on. I realized that most days end like this, quietly, without noise, without big moments. Still, I felt grateful. Not because something special happened, but because nothing bad did. Sometimes that is enough. The night was quiet, not completely silent, but calm enough to rest my thoughts. I got ready for bed slowly. I washed my face, changed into comfortable clothes, and turned off the lights one by one. Each small action felt familiar, like a routine my body remembered without thinking. When I lay down, I didn't fall asleep right away. My eyes were open, looking at the ceiling. My mind moved gently through the day again. Nothing important had happened. No big news, no strong emotions. Just hours passing, one after another. And yet the day felt complete. I thought about the morning. The soft light, the warm tea, the quiet start. I thought about the bus ride. The people I didn't know but shared space with. I thought about work, the small conversations, the steady rhythm of tasks. I realized how much of life is made of moments like these. Moments we don't talk about, moments we forget to appreciate. We wait for special days to feel happy or meaningful. But most of our lives are made of normal days. I reached for my phone and checked the time. No messages, no notifications. I put it down again. I didn't feel lonely. I felt present. Outside, a distant sound of a vehicle passed, then disappeared. The world was still moving, even as I stayed still. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. My body relaxed. In that moment, I understood something simple. A normal day is not empty. It is full of quiet life. It holds small interactions, silent thoughts, and simple routines. It holds safety. It holds peace. Not every day needs a story, but sometimes the story is the day itself. As my eyes grew heavy, I felt thankful. Thankful for the calm. Thankful for the routine. Thankful for another ordinary day that asked nothing from me. Before falling asleep, one last thought stayed with me. If this day could pass so gently, maybe tomorrow could too. And with that thought, I closed my eyes. This was not a special day. It was just a normal day. And that was enough.